So I'm going to call the Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:35 on the 29th of May, 2013. Thank you all for being here. I think Amherst Media for being present and providing coverage. We have to take some positions on some motions that we know are coming up, and I think one article that we have remaining to determine. So that's the principal purpose of the meeting relating to the current town meeting, the annual town meeting that's underway. And this being the 29th of May, there's Articles 42 and 43 are expected to come up, and so taking them in order, 42, there's a possibility for a motion, that there will be a motion to dismiss that is offered, and if there's a position for dismissal, and we've already taken made a recommendation that we don't recommend the article, do we recommend to dismiss? And I think that's just a judgment call for the committee. I think that the distinction is when you dismiss something, you're saying the town meeting shouldn't even talk about it, as opposed to whether they should talk about it and you recommend it or not. So I think we don't have to take a separate position if that motion is offered, but I did want to at least offer to the committee to see if anybody wants to make a motion to take a position if there is such a motion. Doug?
Just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, you were speaking to Article 42?
42, I'm taking
Which
in
is-
order.
Echo Hill.
Which is
Echo
Echo
Hill.
Hill.
Is that to dismiss?
To dismiss
No,
or
I'm
refer?
sorry, I had that wrong.
Defer.
Thank you. It was Article 43. Article 42 is the one. Article 42, we're expecting that it's going to be a motion that it might be made to refer to the Housing and Sheltering Committee. And so that is the one we should talk about first.
Okay.
I say, so Doug.
So in that vein, I think I would support a motion to refer. So I think we could take a position to support that. I think we did a fair amount of hand wringing at our meeting the other day, and really we're thinking about the fact that we really need more time, more detail, and more of a firm plan and footing under us to make a decision about. And so without that, we were, a bit less inclined to vote for it. So I think, motion to refer fits well with the arguments we went through the last time we met and discussed this.
So is that a motion?
I will make one if you allow.
Okay, we'll please choose a motion. I try trying to keep an eye on the clock when this is a short meeting. Is there a second to the motion? Then we'll get back to discussing it. Yeah. Okay, so you can always withdraw your second if you decide to after discussion. So let's go to discussion. I saw a bunch of hands up.
I prefer to stick with our original position that I don't want to get tied into eminent domain and all the things that this says. And I would prefer we be neutral on whether or not we should defer. Refer.
Interact?
What is the current position on 42?
We don't recommend it, and I think we don't recommend
So-
it largely. I mean, I think because of its fact that it's eminent domain and an unknown amount, therefore an unknown amount of funds and an unknown source of funds.
So motion to refer would say that we are willing to reconsider our position on that.
Well, we wouldn't reconsider it at this town meeting. I think we would be against, we would recommend against for this town meeting under all circumstances. If it was referred, then we would come back, if it was then brought back by the committee to which it was referred, after they gave the additional study and put together a proposal, found out whether there was grants available, looked into whether CPAC would fund it, got a recommendation from CPAC as to whether they will recommend use of CPA funds. All of those things would then likely occur before they would bring it back at a special town meeting, either in fall or some other special town meeting. And it would then be up to us to discuss it based upon the merits of the proposal that's brought forth by the committee, not the proposal as it's currently stated.
So it won't be referred back to us, I mean, it'll be
No.
referred back to somebody else, and then as the finance committee, we'll take a financial implications position on that. So I guess I'm neutral on that, I mean, I support Doug's motion, because we don't want to be closed-minded about anything. I would reiterate our position that we took earlier about not supporting it, but if it were to be referred back to us, sure, we'll consider it.
Janice, did you have something to us?
Yeah, I guess I could see it being referred and getting more information and coming back, because we would have another chance at it. We would get more information and see about funding and the CPAC. And that was one of the issues that led us not to support.
I think that it is a legitimate issue for the town to deal with. I think the need for affordable housing, and the fact that when we lose Rolling Green as affordable units, we're likely to fall below the 40B threshold. And so the creation of new housing units is important, though it's unclear that this would be a sufficient number of units to get us back to the 40B level if we lose Rolling Green. But affordable housing is something that's been important to the town. The amount of money, if there were grants available and if CPAC was supporting it, could be an affordable thing to do because it would have some income that would be generated.
Hi, can I read the motion we made?
Yes.
We urge town meeting to support Article 42 tonight and strongly encourage town staff and committees to work diligently on this project. We look forward to recommending funding of up to $400,000 in fall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's the report from the CPAC committee.
Do you want to?
What we're discussing right now is the likelihood of a motion to refer to the Housing and Sheltering Committee.
Yeah, we actually didn't have time for that.
And
We had to stop because I left and Marilyn left, but Marilyn Blessing made the motion, I seconded it. And, it looks like something would be good for the fall funding, so I hope that you'll consider changing your recommendation. So, gotta run. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's off the table.
That's another twist.
No, that's another twist. I think that the motion that's on the table here right now, which is on the motion to refer question, is still there. What was just reported to us as far as the action of Community Preservation Act Committee, and for the people at home, that was Mary Streeter, Vice Chair of the Community Preservation Act Committee, who just spoke. I think the question of the motion to refer is still there, and that actually I find it is more of a reason to do a referral because I still think, for all of the reasons that we've stated, that the idea of eminent domain is too dangerous for the town to do in an unformed proposal as is currently out there. But referral gives all of the bodies a chance to work together and the town staff a chance to get it together and to get it back to town meeting in the future through CPAC. And so I would tend to think that the idea of referral is a good idea. Yes.
So, but the process will be the motion for 42 first, as it stands, before all this other stuff. Is that correct? I mean, we'll still have the original motion.
Then while it is, before it is voted on, the moderator will ask for discussion, and at that point, I think that he will call on the person who intends to make the motion to refer, So the vote on the motion to refer will come before the vote on the main motion.
So we don't get to make a recommendation before the referral motion.
No,
We will.
You'll have, the committee will report once the
Just
article, the motion is seconded on the article.
Yeah.
So we will,
Then the committee will give its report.
Then
So
you
we'll
will,
get to say what we need to say.
Yeah, I wrote
anyway.
something up because Bob's not here. So I wrote something up this morning. And,
so,
Yeah.
yes,
so we will state our position in the opening comments, like the
Correct.
committees do, and then at that point, the discussion will ensue with our position on the table. And then if the motion to refer comes forward, then our position on that is gonna be
Whatever we vote.
whatever we vote here.
Right.
That if we vote that, say that we support the motion to refer actively. Okay, I get it.
so I think that what we're talking about is not our support of the main motion. Just, I'll ask in a second whether there's any will to reconsider, but my sense is there's gonna be nobody making a motion when I ask that question. So therefore, I'm left with the motion on the table, which is the question of whether we would recommend a motion to refer. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, then all in favor of motion to refer, all opposed? So it's 4-1 with 2 absent. And I'll ask Doug or Janice as maker seconder of the motion to speak to it, and the two of you can just quickly confer when we adjourn. And
Andy, I have issues with it because this won't come till fall. They're being required to leave by July 1. That throws the whole thing up in the air as to who's going to be in there. And so forth. I just think there's a lot of issues with that, so that's why I voted against referring. I'd like to see it come
Yeah.
up or down.
I mean,
But we don't have to debate
yeah,
that.
I
I'm
can
just
give
telling
you,
you
I
where
can
I
give you about
am.
a 30-second version on that, but I think we should go on.
Right, we need to go on.
The 30-second version is that the likelihood is that the people who move out voluntarily will have moved out, and the people who are not moving out voluntarily, that the housing court processes will still be churning on by the fall. So I don't think by the fall there's likelihood that there's going to be a significant shifting of where anybody is literally at. But the question is what additional we know, and I think that is a valid point. If there's a motion to reconsider on 42, since we've heard the report from the Vice Chair of the Community Preservation Act Committee, I will certainly open it up to hear that motion. If I don't hear a motion, then we are staying with the motion that with the position we've previously taken.
Could I ask, was she supporting the motion to refer, or the motion, or the article itself? I wasn't clear.
Article
The article itself.
Okay, fine, thank you. All right.
Okay, so then on Article 43, so because we only have, it's 10 minutes of 7 now. On Article 43, which is the North Amherst Cushman, the only motion that we know that might come forward is a motion to dismiss. And we can just have nothing to say if the motion to dismiss is made, or we could have a position. So again, I'll just leave it open for somebody to make a motion if they wish. If not, where we stand is that we have a position to speak against. We don't recommend, for fairly similar reasons really, though I think even greater concerns. Yes, interact.
I saw Mr. Kelly's email that came through on the listserv today, and his reasoning was, one of the comments I remember him reading was, this article was irresponsible fiscally. I think my position on that is that even if it is, even if it is irresponsible fiscally in some people's point of view, I think the town, it's a significant enough issue for the town meeting to discuss it. So my position on this would be that we do not support the motion for dismissal, but vote against the article itself.
So, do you want to make, are you making a motion that we recommend against dismissal?
Yes, I would like to make that motion.
Okay, so there's been a motion made that if there's motion to dismiss under Article 43, that we recommend against dismissal, and is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, and, is there anything further you want to say on this?
Same, reiterate that, you know, I think the committee, they already taken a position to vote against the article, and so my position on that is unchanged. I will still vote against the article personally and also the member of the finance committee, but I do not want to take away the right of the town meeting to discuss an issue which is very significant for the town.
So, and you were the seconder?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, other discussion on the motion that's on the floor.
So if I got the double negative correctly here, is that Article 40, you want to leave it open for town meeting to discuss Article 43 as opposed to recommending against it straight up?
No, the question is, we've already taken a position against the article. We have information that there's likely to be a motion to dismiss made. And the question
Gotcha.
is whether we take a position on the motion to dismiss. I guess I would prefer no position, simply because I'm not sure of the financial impact of discussing it or not discussing it. But I can, you know, it's not one that I would throw down big about either way. Yeah, and Ryan.
Well, I think, yeah, I think that's really, and, you know, that's valid point about the financial implications. But I think my view is that I'm surprised at I've been following the listserv for the last couple of days, and I'm actually surprised how many points are coming up that I had not thought about. And so, even though given the information available to us, my position is that I'm fairly confident about my position that this will be not in the article itself will not be in the financial interest of the town. But I still want to be open to any new information coming forward that might be, at least in theory, change my mind, which is unlikely, but in theory can change my mind.
Further discussion, yes?
But you can say too, if we have no position, you can explain why we have no position. We couldn't really see the financial implications of dismissing. And we also thought that the town meeting ought to have this discussion. That type of thing.
So not take no position,
Take
but
that position would explain why.
Supposed to rain today? It didn't.
And then you include your comments and other fiscal, what Andy just said about financial implications in that position.
okay, I'm good with that.
I think we just have to vote because it's 5 of 7.
Well, if you're okay, I'll withdraw, you can
And then I
withdraw,
withdraw
that's it.
my motion from the
Right.
table, and I think what Janice said is good for me.
Okay.
Why don't I ask you to, if I can get you recognized, I'll ask you to speak if that motion is made. So 41 is a petition for residential parking, which is the only one we haven't taken a position on. And so let's get to it quickly. And
Financial,
this is Article 41.
right.
It's residential parking, and I think that what happened in the sequence of things, if we met with Mr. County talking about it, it has a broader coverage. It would provide residential parking regulation for all of the town as opposed to just rental property. And we had deferred it until we saw what happened on the rental property bylaw, which of course is passed. So the question is, do we have a position on the proposal which he's putting forward, which would, as I read it, broaden it to a larger group of properties in town and allow parking. Doug?
Just a quick question, is it in conflict with anything that's already been voted for on 29, or is it just broader?
I think it's broader, to tell you the truth. I haven't seen any analysis from anybody as to whether there are conflicts, you know, the planning board or the select board is not.
Could we find out before? I tend to, I mean, if it had, I don't know about financial implications either, but I think there's a need for some residential parking. I don't think it's only the renters. You can see some other areas that are not all that great. So if we could get some analysis, are we gonna meet again? Well, first, financial implications, if there are none.
Well, I think there are other signs and.
Okay. And then if we're going to meet again, maybe we could get that information and talk about it.
Yeah, the question is whether it adds for costs or complexities. Sandy, if we take this, schedule another meeting for Monday before the next session, is there a chance that we might be able to get word as to whether town council has provided an opinion on that particular subject as to whether there's any conflict between 41 and anything previously asked?
We can ask them. I know we haven't asked them about this, I'm aware, so.
So is it the will of the committee to continue to defer this and to notice a meeting for Monday? Because I think we can take minutes up. There are two sets of minutes that Anurag was working on that came very late in the day, provided some comments on.
Well, we do all the minutes on Monday then.
Yeah.
Give us enough time.
Yeah,
There's
because it's
5
now
sets
2
of
minutes.
minutes.
It's now 2
Yeah,
minutes
and
before 7.
I also have to do a little bit more research on some of the minutes, so I
Do you
Okay.
want me to deal with this, with the Senate budget, or we'll do that on Monday?
Yeah, it's unlikely it's going to come up, but why don't you do it real quick?
Yes, I can do it very quick. So,
Why don't you say that after I ask the question?
Yeah.
Has the planning board done anything on 41?
Not that I've heard of.
okay, so the Senate came out with its budget, and the budget that's before town meeting right now is based on numbers from the House. The Senate, the most significant thing is in this line here that's called unrestricted general government aid, which is otherwise known as UGA. The House gave us $168,322 in additional UGA aid, and so we were nicely in balance. The Senate took it away. So now they're in conference committee. The other thing that the Senate did, however, is it passed a provision that if at the end of the fiscal year, FY13, there is a state surplus, they will give UGA money back to the cities and towns, which if we get it back, we could then include it on the recap before we submit our tax rate to the state in the fall, and we'll be back in balance again. So this is all to say that we don't know anything. If we don't get the UGA money, we right now have a $149,000 deficit. But I think if the House provision prevails, we will be back in a balanced budget. If that Senate provision prevails, we'll be back in balance in the fall. But right at the moment, on the Senate budget, we're not in balance.
The reason this is,
Right?
Pardon me?
3.
yeah, and the reason this is significant, and then we really probably need to go, is that we have Articles 27, 28, which theoretically could come up tonight if things, but unlikely, I would think. But once they get there, our motion under 27 is to dismiss. And if we dismiss it, then the budget is what the budget is. And if worst case scenario happens and we're $168,000 in deficit, then at the fall special town meeting, we would have to take action at that time, I believe. And so that there's no strong reason that we have to change our motion to dismiss on the reserve funds. We really have no basis to recommend a number of other transfer is the problem. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of that, so that if you had discomfort about dismissing 27, that you're aware of what this whole thing is. Okay, so I'll consider us adjourned at 1 minute after 7.